Colts on 15. Second down and 16. Beckett gets away on the move, hit from behind, and it was loose, and it was an interception. Intercepted on the play by Trayvon Young, the rookie out of Louisville. Gurley the back, first and goal at the 7. Todd Gurley knifing in for the touchdown. 7-yard touchdown run. Todd Gurley. Broncos. Gurley is in, first and 10. Goff. Touchdown, Cooks. And he beats the defensive back. O'Kello Witherspoon, 19-yard completion.
Do that by playing a little bit of up-tempo.
3rd and 1, blocked by Mostert. But it's time for Beckles. Bobbled and reeled in by it's picked off on the play by John Johnson.
He played it. What flattery showed him what not to do. They're coaching quarterbacks.
They're down at 4. Becker with the right foot. Number 4. 4th sack today. The Bay Area kid. Look out. Here comes Mitchell. There goes Gurley. Into the end zone over the pylon. Touchdown, Los Angeles. 3rd touchdown today.
Welcome to a new Clash of the Horns, and the Rams have rammed the 49ers 39-10 and a huge win for the Rams. With this win, they have swept the rest of the California teams, which was a battle for California in my opinion, and the Rams won the battle in Santa Clara by beating the 49ers, because they already beat the Chargers, they already beat the Raiders, and they already beat the Niners, and there's no one else to beat. The Rams are the supreme team in California this year, and possibly the years to come. But it's, to me, for bragging rights, it's very, very important that they did this. And in the way that they did it, in the manner, dominance. They're just dominating on both sides of the football. And offense, defense, special teams, they're just that good. Now, I have to give credit to some players on the defensive side of the ball that, to me, have shown out big time in this game. And the number one guy has to be Aaron Donald. 4 sacks. I think he created 1 turnover, stripping the ball. And one thing that I noticed in this game is the way that he dominates offensive linemen. And he pushes them into C.J. Beathard and gets sacks that way. You're basically manhandling a 300-pound actual man. You're not figurative talking about it. You're literally doing it, and that's what Aaron Donald was doing all game. I call him the QB killer. I call him the Debo of the NFL, and he is simply that dominant. Possibly the best Rams defensive player since like the Fearsome Foursome, like Jack Youngblood and those guys back in those days. Merlin Olsen and Deacon Jones, Lamar Lundy, Rosie Greer, those guys. I would honestly think that Aaron Donald is that damn dominant. But I mean, we live in a different era. But if you guys looking at Aaron Donald, that is Hall of Fame material, and the Rams extending him in his prime for 5 or 6 years. It is the best decision they ever made for the Rams in long-term talk. Now, we already know how good Aaron Donald is, but look at Corey Littleton. He is the most underrated player in this team, and I'm going to keep saying it until everyone in ESPN, Fox Sports, you name it, the Rams bloggers, the Rams Twitters, the Rams YouTubers, they all realize that Corey Littleton is the most underrated defensive player for the Rams since last year. He can block punts, he can get interceptions, he can strip the ball out of running backs' hands. In this game, he got 2 sacks, 1 blocked punt, a couple of defective passes, and I think a couple of tackles for losses. He is that good. You just don't know him because he's not like putting on the spotlight, but he's that dominant of a player. And I like the underrated guys and talking about them because no one shows them any love. No one shows like guys like Austin Blythe any love, or guys like Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp in the media. No one does that. And to me, the guy that I'm going to be hyping up this year is Corey Littleton because he is that good. And when I went to training camp, I wish I would have gotten it on tape, but no lie, I went to training camp, I saw Corey, I yelled out Corey, hey Corey, dude, you are a baller, and you are going to be a monster this year. And he, shook my hand, signed my football. I had a football that had him sign, and he said thank you, and then he just smiled and went on his own way. But he's that guy. He's so good, and he went undrafted. From going undrafted, going into the Rams, he became a special teams beast, and now he's starting to become a linebacker beast. So credit to Corey Littleton. He had a great game, and I'm going to get a Corey Littleton color rush jersey just because I think I'm so hyped up for him. I'm going to go get a jersey of this. Looking at the rest of the defense, you had Samson Ebukam. They had a sack. I think he played very good. Had a couple. I think he had 2 tackles for loss. We had a lot of tackles for loss in this game. That's how dominant the Rams were defensively. A couple of tackles for loss. He had 1 sack and 3 tackles of his own. Troy Hill, out of all people, got an interception. Marcus Peters, no interception, but Troy Hill got 1. I think he went in front of Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin, and he got an interception that way. And credit to Troy Hill, he had a rough game last year, but he had a rough game last week against the Broncos, and he came out to play this game and got an interception. Now, John Johnson's assignment, I think I've noticed what they were doing. They were trying to get him to cover Kittle. The only offensive weapon that the Niners had all game was the tight end Kittle. And I knew the guy is good. He's a good vertical threat kind of type of tight end. He's not like a good blocker, but he's more of a receiver. And he got about 98 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. But that's about it. That's as much as damage they did. And having at times John Johnson go after him, that's when John Johnson ended up getting an interception off of him, and he had 2 tackles. So John Johnson's also being a playmaker, and he did a really good job. Now, looking at one of the other guys that made a play was Trevon Young, who is I think he's an edge guy, but you didn't really get to see him a lot on the field. I think he was on there for like a couple of plays, but he also had an interception that was a sack waiting to happen. Got the ball kind of moved a little bit, and then he ended up getting the interception. So shout out to him as well. Now, moving on to the offensive side of the ball, not a big offensive performance this game. They just did enough to score, and they did it really quick, and then let the defense kind of manhandle that offensive line. But you got Robert Woods with 70 yards receiving. Brandon Cooks with a beautiful deep touchdown that I think Jared Goff just throwing dimes out there for these wide receivers. But a great route ran by Brandon Cooks, juking his corner, and then going to the corner of the end zone, getting a nice little touchdown and awesome celebration like always. Really good game from him. And then Todd Gurley had 23 yards receiving, and he had 1 touchdown. Really good play by the Rams in that really good play by the Rams. Now, rushing the ball, Todd Gurley 2 touchdowns, 63 yards. They did a really good number on the running backs. But credit to the Rams, they started putting their backups back in the 4th quarter. So you could have said maybe Todd Gurley would have had more. But, I mean, they played it safe. They're already up 39-10. So what's the what's the difference? Jared Goff having 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Simply, this was a dominant performance by the Rams. I didn't expect anything less from the Rams than just shoving it down the throat of the 49ers in their house while they were out there commemorating the game to their old school Niners dynasty from the 80s that they're always talking about and bringing up to this day. And the Rams gave them a good old whopping 39-10 loss in their house, which is what the Rams wanted. And we know we could do it, whether or not Jimmy Garoppolo was there, or C.J. Beathard, or Sherman if he was out there being a corner, which I don't know why he was out. I think it was an ankle injury or something. The Rams are just going to win, and it wasn't going to be an easy game for the Rams. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Last year, the Niners were all hyped up for Jimmy Garoppolo. They played our backups. I forgot what the score was, like 24-10 or 29-10. It was a whack game because the Rams were not going to play their starters. In this game, the Rams played the starters and give them a good old whopping 39-10 loss. Jimmy Garoppolo's out injured. I wish it was him and not C.J. Beathard. And then if they are going to start making some more excuses, we can just go on from here on out. But The Rams are just too dominant. They're too good of a team, and that's why they're 7-0, and that's why they're going to continue being undefeated. I don't know who will beat them, because there's a couple of teams out there to me that might be the guys that beat us, and that could be the Eagles, that could be the Bears, that could be the Saints, and maybe possibly the Seahawks if they somehow come into LA, into our house, and try to beat us. But for right now, I don't think there's a team that can beat us in the NFC or in the AFC. But that's because we're playing really good football at this moment, and hopefully in the playoffs, and I know we're making the playoffs, and we're going to make a deep run in the playoffs, we can make it to the Super Bowl and win our first Lombardi for Los Angeles. So horns up, Rams, LA Rams. Very dominant performance in this game, and what a way to win and go 7-0 by beating our fierce rivals, the 49ers.